Hello everyone, and welcome to another read-along. This is your friendly heads-up warning that we are going to be going into a critical reading of Zenith. That means it will not only contain every single spoiler, but if Zenith is one of your favorite books and you cannot stand to see it ripped apart into little tiny pieces, then this isn't the review for you. See you next time. Thanks for playing. Oh man, you guys, I'm fired up because people are being stupid on the internet, and I don't know why I bother, but we're gonna read some of this instead, and maybe my rage will transfer. We're back with Lyra, so that'll help my rage out. Oh my gosh, the next chapter's with her too. This is chapter 48, by the way, future me. And it's long. Ugh. The next two chapters are Lyra chapters, and I hate it. Why isn't it just one long chapter? Like, why is it two? I don't. These authors confuse me, but let's get this fucking over with. So we meet Queen Alara, which is Lyra's queen. Lyra may have a crush on her, I feel like, the way she's described. Alara was beautiful in every sense of the word, inside and out. She had a lithe frame, perfectly proportioned, and no scales on her skin. Whoa. Oh my. Like, what does that mean that she has no scales? Is it uncommon for someone to have no scales on this planet? I'm really confused by what these people look like. And, like, does Lyra just look like an ordinary human, but she has scales? She's the queen who feared none but loved all, so like female alien Mr. Rogers then. So we find out at the end of this chapter, which is only 2 pages long, that Lyra is the niece of the queen, and I don't know if we already knew that, if that was supposed to be a reveal. I can't remember. But like, she's also like, Kay Ballen's awake. And then it's a chapter break, but really I don't know why. I am really starting to think that Alara and Lyra are a thing, or were a thing, because now Alara is acting like a kind of like a jilted girlfriend. You left, Alara said, without a word to me. You tricked my sentinels. You boarded a ship with an outsider crew full of men and women I didn't know from a rogue planet I had not visited, and decided to take up a life where the only updates I had on you were wanted posters appearing in my bi-moonly feeds. Bi-moonly, by the way, sounds weird. I know she's her aunt, but she sounds like her ex. I don't know what the culture is on this planet. Maybe you can date your aunt. So now she and her aunt are like talking, and her aunt's like, you could be queen, I want you to be queen, and Lyra's like, I don't want to be queen, and she says, I love you, but I don't want to be you. And there they were, the words that Lyra had held in her chest for so long, ever since her aunt had become grooming her for the position. Like this, like, revelation, I think this is supposed to be a moment, and it's so not, because, like, none of this mattered until exactly right now. Like, with all of that history, with all of those backstories, and all of that angst we got from all of our characters throughout this, I never felt an angst from Lyra that she was being, like, pushed to be the queen and didn't want to be. Yes, she wanted to leave her homeworld. Yes, she left it in kind of, like, a huff or whatever, but like I never got the idea that this was a big like thing that she had to deal with, that she never told her aunt that she didn't want to be queen. Like, what is this revelation? It's supposed to be meaningful and it's not. So Lyra's thinking to herself about all the stuff she wants and doesn't want, and like, I can only hear it in the voice of Merida's father. Is it Fergus, when he's pretending to be her in that one scene?
I don't want to get married. I want to stay single and let my hair flow in the wind as I ride through the glen, firing arrows into the sunset.
I cannot take this seriously, you guys. This is so bad. Not really enjoying the Lyra guilt trip chapter. This is all it's been so far, and like I already hate this character, and now she's getting like hassled by her relatives, and that's just not fun to read. And of course Lyra is like, I'm a free spirit, you can't chain me down, I don't want that life. And that's basically the mantra of all of the characters in this. The queen is offering Lyra like a job to be like a caravaner, I guess, like to have this sleek new ship that she's just designed and like carry supplies and stuff wherever they're needed. And like that could be her adventuring, and she could be a captain of her own ship and everything, and of course Lyra's not going to go for it. Her brother says it's everything she's ever wanted, but clearly it's not, because she also, I think, is into the murder. Because she wouldn't be doing this piratey murdery thing if she wasn't also into it. Ugh, this line, there were so many memories here. That just tells me you're about to tell me all about those fucking memories. Henry, turn your face to the moonlight. For probably a couple paragraphs. But hey look, it's Abby. It's Abby. some fun? Yeah? You wanna read this terrible book? It's pretty bad. You think? It's pretty bad, Mom. Who wrote this? I don't know. Some people like this hobby. Some people think this is like your favorite. This is somebody's favorite. I don't know. I mean, I guess if they enjoy it. Got Abby hair on my lips now. Nope. So she hasn't, I don't think, given an official no to the Queen yet. She's probably going to have to talk to her friends, and they're going to have like a little heart-to-heart about it. And also, she's nervous because Cortez, the general, is involved in this somehow, and for some reason, and she thinks he's evil, because she also thinks that he sabotaged their ship. They might be drawing it out a little bit longer, or the ending of this chapter might mean that that's like it's official already and we're supposed to infer that she's saying no. I don't know, but I'm going to stop here. 2 chapters is about all I've got in me tonight. I just don't have the spoons for it tonight, but we'll keep reading tomorrow night probably and just see how far we can get before Adam gets home from his business trip. Chapter 50. We're here. We are at chapter 50. Holy balls, that's a lot of chapters. We're about 300 pages in, but damn. Adam is still not here. He's still on his business trip, but we're going to try to knock out a couple chapters, probably just 2 tonight. They're usually pretty short. Watch these will be long ones. No, there's like a longish one and a short one. So we'll knock out 2 chapters tonight. Then I'm going to bed. We are here with Androma again. I don't like her, but at least it's better than Lyra, because as you guys know, I have developed an active hatred for Lyra. At least being in her point of view. Like, I don't hate her from other people's point of view, but I just don't find her point of view engaging even a little bit. And the thing is, like, okay, I'm going to harp on Lyra for a little while. She's an alien. Her point of view should be really interesting. The way that she thinks could be so different and cool. And instead, she's just a sulky teenager like everyone else. I don't know if she's a teenager. She might be in her 20s. She's a sulky fucking new adult like everyone else. And I hate it. I think the word you want here is laughter. Andy is sparring with her buddies in like this cave, and there's a lake, and Breck just like kicked her into the lake. Andy came up spluttering for air and shivering to find Breck, Lyra, and Gilly laughing by the water's edge. Their laughs echoed throughout the massive cavern. I think you mean their laughter echoed throughout the massive cavern. Well, this is a horrifying thought. As she's coming out of the water, it says, a sucker fish with its almost humanoid mouth just barely missed a chance to latch onto her leg. So now I'm picturing a fish with a human mouth. Do not want. So now we're just watching them spar, and I don't know why. What? Is there a point to this scene? Is it so that we can, like, learn their moves? Is it so we can get a feel of how each of them fights or something? Is that going to come up later? Am I giving this book way too much credit? Probably. But, like, why are we watching them spar? It's not doing anything. The other thing that's happening, other than watching them spar, is Andy is once again lost in her own damn thoughts. So, I have a question. One of the things that Andy is remembering as she fights is that a little while ago, they called up General Cortez to be like, hey, we've got your kid, but we crashed, and the general is, like, super pissed about that. But, like, they have his kid. They did the thing they came to do. Could he not now send his troops to come pick up his kid? Like, this should be a little jaunt. This should be like, okay, kid's out of prison, kid is safe, I'm just gonna go pick him the fuck up. Or send some of my guys to pick him the fuck up. Why is he so mad? It's not even like Andy crashed one of his ships. She crashed her own damn ship. The general has lost nothing except for a little fuel to go pick up his kid. And it's not like Queen Alara isn't an ally of his. It's not like he's going into enemy territory. We already established in a previous chapter that Alara and Cortez, or whatever his name is, are allies. So there's literally no reason he couldn't just be like, okay, thanks, Andy, here I come to get my son. You know, this entire paragraph would have been a great thing to see, and further solidifies for me that these authors should have written the book that comes before this, before they wrote this one. Opening herself up to each of the girls had been difficult. A captain needed a crew, loyal and true, but a crew had to trust their captain in return. It had been an uphill battle to let the girls enter her heart, especially after the pain of losing Kaylee and then Dex. Andy was wary of becoming emotionally attached to anyone. That paragraph, like that, you know that's a story. Her opening up, her coming to trust these girls. And instead of just telling us that she does and that it was difficult, amorphously, write that book. So many useless paragraphs about how much Andy loves her crew, blah, 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 blah. Useless, cut. Like I said before, do not tell me how much characters love each other. Show me. Like, that's a huge pet peeve of mine. You should be able to see it by the way that they interact with each other. It should not be a question. You should not need to be told. Characters are a big thing for me, as you know. And if you read my stuff, you know that characters are like my strongest skill. And the worst part is, we already know. Like, we can figure it out from their actions. We can figure it out from their actions throughout this book. So, like, all of these paragraphs are worse than useless. So I think in reading this next scene, I think I figured out a little bit about where this book struggles with, like, its characterization. Andy loves her girl so much, she's just kind of having an emotional moment, and she starts crying, and the girls, like, take her away, and they all sit down together, and, like, we're gonna talk, and they're talking to her. They'll have a line, and then the next paragraph will be more exposition about, like, how they're all feeling. And I think part of the problem is that these authors really don't like to show, but, like, the physicality of their characters just isn't there. Their characters don't feel like they take up space. They don't feel physical. They don't feel real. I don't even remember what most of them look like. The one that's the most described is Andy over and over again with her, like, her gorgeous silver hair and her red nail polish or whatever. And then they go to take her to sit down. That's all we get. Like, tell us what the girls are doing physically. Like, is one of them sitting with her knee touching Andy's? Is Gilly fidgeting? Tell us what she's doing as she fidgets. Leave out all of this stuff. Like, Gilly and Breck had always looked at her and assumed she was fearless, completely beyond the struggle of having to face such a petty, frail feeling. Leave that out, and just let the girls be in the space, physically. Show us what they're doing physically, and give us this conversation that they're having. And it will be so much more powerful. This is page 315, if anybody, like, wants to read along with this. This should be a great moment where, like, these friends are coming together, and instead we keep pausing the moment for telling. Does that make any sense? Am I making sense? I hope so. Another thing, this scene, I can't get past this fucking scene, because it frustrates me, because I know what this scene could be. I think it's also supposed to be like a breakdown moment for Andy. The moment when we finally culminate, because she's here with her people, but she knows that Lyra is, like, upset, but Lyra is keeping it in for her. Andy just got yelled at by the general, and she wanted to go see Valen, but Valen wouldn't see her, so now she's thinking about Valen and Kaylee. And this, I think, is supposed to be a big, built-up moment where she finally just has an emotional breakdown, and her crew kind of puts her back together. But because Andy keeps having these same emotional thoughts over and over again through all of this book, and they're so similar, this doesn't feel like a culmination, a big breakdown. This just feels like another Andy is whining and reminiscing about her tragic backstory TM in her head. So what they needed was a lot less in the rest of this book, and slowly let it build and build and build, so that when we get to this point, we as the reader can recognize without much help what this scene is. Like, right here, Lyra nodded and pulled her knees to her chest, wrapping her arms around them. That's the kind of physical stuff I want to see. Way more of that, and way less of just, like, telling us how the girls are feeling about each other. Now, don't get it twisted. I'm not saying that you should never say how your characters are feeling. It's just a balance. You have to balance with how your characters are feeling and showing how they're feeling. And this author just went so hard one way that the other way is completely neglected. Writing is all about that delicate balancing act. Now Andy's having a breakdown about Dex, and I don't know where that came from, but she's probably about to confess that she really still likes Dex, and he's about to wander in and see that or something. But where did that come from? Because she really wasn't thinking about that a few minutes ago. I will say, because I'm looking for these tidbits, Gilly likes to braid hair, and this is consistent through the whole story. So, there's a thing. I found a thing! This happened in The Savior's Champion 2, where a character, tells another character, how awesome they think they are. Lyra's talking about, how Andy, carries her burdens, and, I've never known someone in all of my travels who carries them with such persistence, who refuses to put them down when the burden grows too heavy to bear. Stop it. It comes across to me as the author as being isn't our protagonist awesome? She's just so badass, she can handle anything. Heavy burdens, man, her friends sure know that she's the best. Ooh, there's a festival coming up. I wonder if they're going to stay for the festival, and if so, if Andy is going to dance with Dex. These characters laugh almost as much as the characters in my first draft smile. That's a lot. If you took a drink for every time one of these characters laughed or chuckled, you would be dead. Who are the God Stars? Why do we pray to them? What is their religion? At first, I was starting to think that maybe it was just Lyra's religion, and everybody else just used it to swear or something. Because I hadn't heard anybody talk about the God Stars seriously in a while, except for Lyra. But now Gilly just says that they could say a prayer to the God Stars, and what are the God Stars? Why do so many people believe in them? Alright, we made it to chapter 51, which is a short chapter, so I'm probably just going to keep powering through it, even though I don't want to, and it's totally past my bedtime right now. But at the end of that chapter, the robot appears and is hey, Valen's awake. Good old vengeance will be mine, Valen, and you should go see him. But right before that, Lyra was going to confess that she was given this offer to stay, which she's not going to take, obviously, but we have to have that drama. Of course, we have to be oh no, she didn't get to tell her. We're still with Andy in chapter 51 here. They mention that on this planet there are no weapons, they don't have war or anything. Granted, these people can make their bodies very, very hot when they're feeling emotional, so it's they could be considered weapons themselves. And it says, Alara hopes to save her people from a fate similar to Zen Petras or Petras, or however you pronounce it, Pteras, I don't know. But it they got the same fate, because they both got irradiated, right? But these guys got the fun radiation that mutated them into superhumans, and the other guys got the normal radiation that gave them all cancer and they died. And that's just not fair. There's a lot of words really and truly and that kind of thing in here, and those are the ones that you want to watch out for the most. Some people will tell you, avoid ly words, completely avoid them. And you don't have to, in my opinion. I have a whole video about that. Adverbs, friend or foe. My washing is done. But ones really and truly are not needed most of the time, so look to get rid of them whenever you can, because they just clutter up your sentences. One thing that you will notice in this book, and sci-fi sometimes struggles with, especially sci-fi that's not very deep like this one, is that planets are all the same. Everybody on an entire planet does the same thing. There's a festival coming up, and Andy says that every planet celebrates in their own way, and then she talks about a little bit about how each planet celebrates, but it wouldn't be a planet-wide they all celebrate this same way. The rich people would celebrate a certain way, the poor people would celebrate a certain way, people from different continents would celebrate different ways. And when you forget that, you make your world seem really shallow, and that's just something that you have to think about when you're writing. You want to acknowledge that your world is deeper, and so avoid just like lumping everybody on a planet together as doing everything the same way, or being the same way. Avoid the planet of hats if you can. We're having an interlude that I don't understand, except for the authors probably thought it would be fun to add another character. Gilly suddenly has a pet, little orange fluff creature, who we are spending several paragraphs on, and like it's completely derailed where we were going previous to this, with Andy going to see Valen and the festival ramping up. We just stopped to meet this small fluff creature. And I'm sure it's very cute, but also clearly not necessary. Oh, now Valen is here. We just had to have an interlude with a small animal for reasons unclear. Maybe the animal's about to be useful and like identify that he's evil and like growl at him, but the little animal has kind of been hating everyone, so Alfie just popped a robo-boner. Alfie was like coming up to Valen and being like, hey, I'm your dad sent me, I'm your personal friendly robot, whatever, and Valen wanted to get rid of him, so he was like, why don't you go check on memory, which if you remember was the ship's computer with which apparently Alfie is in love. And he like straight up got real excited and said, I find my gears are warming at an alarming rate, excuse me. So yeah, he popped a robo-boner at the thought of his computer girlfriend, and why is he a character?
You are fully functional, aren't you?
Of course, but
How fully?
in every way, of course. I am programmed in multiple techniques. A broad variety of pleasuring.
If you got rid of him, we lose nothing. I can't think of anything that we need him for so far. Except for to have a medic, but like, you could just have one of the girls have some medical training and be that, it's that simple. Or Dex. Dex could have some medical training, then he would be useful. Granted, you probably don't want this adorable doofus trying to be in charge of your medical treatment, but at the same time, I kind of do. I think that would be entertaining. And then the chapter ends with her saying, hello, Valen, because most of it had to be spent describing a small fluffy creature for no reason, and then describing Valen and the boner that the robot just got. So, but we're in chapter 52, we're back with Valen. So, and undoubtedly, you're going to spend most of it having flashbacks and memories and being told his emotions over and over again. So, not looking forward to that, but maybe he will say vengeance will be mine. And that'll be exciting for everyone. Why are we not getting more of Dex's point of view? Because it'd be so awkward, because he's just like there, while Andy and this guy who have like a history, a very bad history together, like interact. And I want to see him struggling to figure out what the fuck. He knows what the fuck, but at the same time, like, does he really understand the depths of what the fuckery that will be happening here? I don't know, but I miss my adorable doofus, and he needs more points of view. Maybe I'd hate him if he had more points of view, but, like, I miss him. I need a friendly idiot in my life, and Dex could be that idiot. Anyway, I'll see you guys with the next chapter whenever that happens. We're getting closer. Oh, look at that. We're over halfway. Hey everyone, just when you thought it couldn't get more casual than the couch, we're in the bedroom. Whoa, sexy. Disappointingly unsexy, really. You can hear the air conditioner, which is the reason that we're in the bedroom, because it's the only room in our house that has an air conditioner. And we're just going to do some filming before bed. And that's really all there is to it. I'm going to use this bear to hold my book up. I could take the audio out and put it in Audacity and take out the AC sound, I think. I don't know how it would work. I've never done it for such a loud, like, persistent sound before, so I don't know how it would work. But, like, then you have to, like, put the audio back in, and then it's a separate track from the... It's a thing, and I just don't feel like doing it. So there.
Alright then.
We're with Valen in this chapter. Let's see if vengeance will be his. We take a moment with Valen to once again remind us A, what Andy looks like, and B, that she's just so good looking. Because every guy that we encounter has to have a moment where they're like, man, here's what Andy looks like. And wow, she's real good looking. Adam's just gonna fall asleep I might periodically wake him up to be like, this is real stupid.
I'm just grinding. I nap between levels because my guys can beat up the level by themselves.
He's playing that video game that if you watch any gamers on YouTube, you have had it advertised to you 8 million times.
Raid Shadow Legend.
That. We have to go on a lengthy thing about how Andy used to be so vivacious and full of life and danced and all this stuff, and now she's damaged and scarred and beaten down by life because not only is she super attractive, but she has soul pain. Valen here is pointing out something about which we probably should be suspicious. He asks, why did my father choose you to rescue me with all the decorated soldiers in the galaxy? Yeah. That's
She's cuter.
suspicious. She is hotter than all the decorated soldiers in the galaxy by far. But, like, I feel like they should be a little suspicious of this fact. Like, she's like, we were the best for the job, but were you? Whoa, snap. We just have a regular animal. She says, she simply stared at him, fierce as a lioness. Not a Carlathian lioness or anything like that. Just a lioness. See, it's that easy. You don't have to have everything be like a weird animal. And at the same time, since everything else has been a weird animal, this just being a lioness kind of stands out.
In reality, if we as humans go to another planet and we see something that through convergent evolution looks like an effing snake, we're gonna call it a snake. We might give it a special Latin breed name or species name if it can't interbreed with our snakes, but it'll be a snake.
Now, I'm not saying don't make up your own creatures. Definitely do that. But, like, they should, like, have a purpose, and, you know, if you just say Kandarian lioness, like, what's a Kandarian lioness and how is it different from a regular lioness, it gets distracting. Valen is recounting how he was captured. He was just, like, out in the gardens, and then ninjas dropped down from the trees and stole him and took him to the prison. But it's a prison, not like an enemy encampment. So the general knew he was there, and he sent Andy to get his son back. But if he's such a big, important general, could he not have stormed the prison? Now, it's Nora's prison, so maybe he doesn't want to inflict more battles on her, but, like, her people are pretty much down and out. So he should be able to just be like, give me my fucking son back, and just march into that prison and take back his kid. Valen wasn't put in that prison for any lawful reason.
He's trying to hook his son up with the murder hobo.
Oh, he allowed it to happen just so that he could get Valen to hook up with Andy, is what you're saying?
Yep.
That
murder hobo makes good mother to next generation of rulers.
That is a long, long con. And also, Andy probably has child-rearing hips because she's perfect in every other way.
Indeed.
So, Dex, of course, is being adorable, and he's being very comforting. He's like, you're safe, Valen, we can talk, like, we got you. And Valen's like, I'm not safe here. Not with Andy. Like, what does he think she's going to do? Does she think she's going to bundle him onto a spaceship and crash him as well, like she did the sister?
Andy is a murder hobo.
I guess. Valen admits that he was being tortured for information about his father's movements and his father's schedule and stuff like that, which makes sense because Nora wants to find out what the general is doing so she can seek her revenge and use her, like, zombie virus and attack him or whatever. But, like, then Dex is like, well, can you give us more information? Can you give us anything about what Queen Nora is planning? And then Valen, like, freaks out and leaves. So that's probably the influence of whatever drug she put in him. We're going to go on to chapter 53. We're back with Andy, and boy, do I not want to be. And it's kind of a long chapter, and this is what I do for you, you guys. We haven't had a Dex chapter in so long, and I miss that beautiful idiot. Like, he was present in this chapter, and everything he said was pure gold, because he was, like, the only nice one, as usual. So Valen just, like, fucked off. Like, Andy can't find him now, so she's lost him again. She's real bad at this. We might finally be getting a little bit of conflict between the characters, which is exciting. Andy ran outside to look for Valen because she's fucking lost him, and she meets Lyra's brother, Lon, who is the Queen's Guard. And he's like, oh, Lyra hasn't told you that we, like, offered her to like stay here and work for us, so she still gets to do what she likes to do, but she doesn't have to do it so dangerously. So like we might actually have a little bit of conflict with this like perfect family where Andy will have to go confront Lyra about it. It'll probably last about 10 seconds, but you know, it's something. Luckily, Lon knew where Valen was, so Andy's gonna go talk to him, and maybe we'll have like a proper moment, or maybe we'll have nothing but flashbacks about their past. We'll find out, I guess. Oh, we're getting even more foreshadowing. Valen is an artist, and he's just like sketching in the mud with a stick, and he's sketching a picture of Noor, but he doesn't know it, and like Andy's like, who's that? And he's like, oh, it's just no one, but we, the Raiders, we know who it is. So suspicion raised, even though it's obvious. It's really obvious what's going on. I'm hiding Adam from you all with my knees now. I'm gone. Ah. So far, the scene with Valen is not bad. Like, they're talking. There's not lengthy paragraphs about their past that we already know. It took us about 300-something pages, but we've reached a scene that feels good and natural, and characters are talking something out, and they're not just like perfect friends with each other. Finally. So the two of them talk it out and talk about their feelings, actually talk about them instead of just like tell us them. Honestly, that was not a bad little section. Yeah, I don't really have much more to say than that. They decided to go to the festival, like they kind of like come to an uneasy truce, and yeah, that was a fine section. Thought it was pretty well done. But now we're back with Lyra, and I hate her, so we'll see how that goes. I hope we get a Dex chapter soon. But we're gonna go, well, Adam's gonna go to sleep now. I'm probably gonna go play video games for a while yet, but
Good night.
it's that time again. It's time to shout out this month's lovely patrons: Lennox, Amanda, Thelia, Jenny, Joseph, Kim, Lisa, Sabby Panda, Sam, Sarah, Savvy, and Scribbling Cat. I'm still so astounded and honored that I have so many awesome patrons helping me out. You guys rock.